Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
While politicians and business leaders argue about the health of the economy, one sector enjoys rude good health, the art market. A work by British artist Francis Bacon has just set a new record of £90 million at auction, and Tate Britain in London is about to unveil a £45 million refit. At the centre of it all, as he has been for a quarter of a century, is the great Tate Panjandrum Sir Nicholas Serota. Has he turned art into a pastime to rival sport and shopping in Britain, or has his Tate empire exercised undue influence? In an exclusive interview, Nicholas Serota took Stephen Smith on a tour of his gaff.
It's all a kind of alchemy. In these lean times, £45 million conjured out of thin air to splash on a grand refurbishment of the original Tate Gallery. Shimmering into view is the sorcerer himself, Sir Nicholas Serota.
This is the money that has been committed to making sure that we really show British art at its best. You know, we're world leaders historically, and I would argue in the modern era, in terms of what our artists have produced, and we want to show it in the best possible way. In the case of Tate Britain, it's a £45 million scheme. 42 million of that has come from trusts, foundations, individuals. Only 3 has come from the lottery.
There are recent figures suggesting that per head of population, people in London and the South East are spoilt compared to others.
I think that the great thing about an institution like the Tate is that, of course, it doesn't simply serve London, it serves the whole country. We have more loans going out to regional museums now than at any time in the past. We work with partners in museums and galleries across the country.
A restaurant is reopening, boasting this enchanted mural by Rex Whistler, a neglected British artist of the 20th century. The Tate and Nicholas Serota have been accused of having too much power over the careers of more recent artists.
I think I would be really naive if I didn't recognise that if the Tate buys work by a really young artist, it makes a difference. The market, however, has a way of absorbing that, and any artist price has to be sustained by a very great deal more than simply a purchase by the Tate.
Do you ever walk round Tate Modern and pass a particular work and shudder and think, what were we doing?
I think that the great thing about having the responsibility for buying contemporary art is that you have an opportunity to make a judgment, present it to the public. Last year we presented a major exhibition at Tate Modern of Damien Hirst. It had more visitors than any show that we've done since we opened that building in 2000.
It got some flack though too.
I think that the Tate has an absolute responsibility to show the work of those leading British artists whose work is highly regarded internationally. The Tate has always been controversial, and I hope it will remain so.
Ladies and gentlemen, the magnificent triptych of Lucy and Freud by Francis Bacon of 1969.
A painting by the British artist Francis Bacon of his friend Lucian Freud fetched a record £90 million at auction earlier this month. I presume it's not going to end up in the UK, is it? It will be on an oligarch's wall or a Gulf prince's bunker.
Well, oligarchs live in this country too, and sometimes oligarchs lend works to the Tate or to the National Gallery or indeed other institutions. So I don't think you should assume that the work, because it's bought by a private collector, will not be available for the public to see. Although in general, of course, once a work goes into a private collection, it does disappear for a period.
How would you say the Turner Prize is doing these days? The great Robert Hughes, admittedly a decade ago, described it as soggy and flaccid. How is it now?
Showing it outside London, as we've begun to do every 2 years, has given it a new lease of life. It went to Baltic in 2011, it's in Derry in 2013. I'm pretty confident that some of those people who are winning the Turner Prize in this decade will be as well known as those who won it in the previous decades. Look at Steve McQueen, an artist who won the Turner Prize 10 years ago. unregarded at that point, now probably going to be receiving Oscars for his major feature film.
Grayson Perry, in his Reith lecture recently, outed you, if that's the phrase I want, as a fan of Sir Cliff Richard, and who isn't?
She's just a devil woman with evil on her mind. Beware the devil woman, she's gonna get you. She's just
Grayson has got his own view on the world, and he undoubtedly found some things in my bedroom that
What was he doing in your bedroom?
well,
You don't have to tell me, that's true. But
No, Grayson came to a really enjoyable party that we often give at Christmas, and he had a snoop around.
as
He
he
found
would.
and he found a few things, and I think he enjoyed himself.
So are you a fan of Sir Cliff? He's
I'm a
another
fan
person
of
who's...
I'm a fan of all kinds of music, and I collect. I collect Hogarth prints. I collect memorabilia of all kinds.
Steve Smith.